So, Yvette, welcome to the show. It's incredible, it's amazing, it's epic, it's badass. I mean, I can go all night basically here. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
I love it. I love it. Tell me, how's your evening? How's your already weekend coming up? What are you gonna do?
I'm having a really good evening, actually. I'm
Love it.
going away tomorrow to Palm Springs.
Mm,
So I'm so excited to just get out of Vancouver and be in the sun and be in California.
fantastic. I love that. And as I said before, welcome. It is a pleasure to have you here. And jumping straight to the interview now, tell me where the journey through acting started.
Well, it started really young. I'm not quite sure how old I was. Maybe like 5, 6, 7.
Okay.
I think like my memory is watching The Wizard of Oz and watching Judy Garland sing Over the Rainbow, and I just like was amazed by her. And I don't know, I just kind of always had this feeling that I wanted to be an actress.
Mm,
I guess I couldn't really explain it because I didn't really act. It was
okay.
just kind of like a sense, like, ooh, I want to act. And then throughout elementary school and high school, I got involved in as much theater or drama classes as I could. I wasn't the most extroverted kid, so I actually didn't make a lot. Some of the school plays that I auditioned for, which was kind of traumatic, but I did get
Okay.
in some. And then I was always in drama classes and whatever I could. And then I went to university. I went to UVic,
Mm,
and same thing. Got involved in whatever drama class, acting classes I could get involved in there.
yeah.
And um, and then after UVic University, I was working. I traveled around Europe, and I was working in Vancouver. And I was just like, I feel like I want to. I looked into every single career, and I was like, okay, what am I gonna do? And I researched everything that I could do, and acting just kind of kept pinging in the back of my mind, like I should
Yeah.
take a class. Or so I started taking a class, and then I wasn't crazy about the class. It just wasn't really for me. I think it was too advanced, so it didn't really, I didn't continue with it. And then I let it go. And then I was just like, no, it's too difficult. I'll just do something else. And then I just couldn't find anything else that I was as passionate about as acting. And then I remember seeing this workshop on Groupon for $50. And I was like, oh, it's probably not that good because it's on Groupon. Like I totally judged it. And then I kept
Yeah.
coming back to this Groupon. And so I signed up for the workshop. I bought the Groupon. I signed up for the workshop, and I took the workshop, and I was just like, oh my God, this is the most amazing thing I've ever done in my life. Like I loved the teacher. I loved everything about the workshop. It was just really like foundational, and everything about acting that I liked. I don't really remember, but I remember it was just a lot of different things with acting. And then the teacher, she was talking, and she's like, yeah, I lived in New York for 20 years. She mentioned it. And then after class, I went up to her and I was like, I've always wanted to live in New York. How did you manage to live there? Because I know as
Mm,
Canadians, it's quite difficult to move to the US. And then she's like, oh, I ended up going to school there, and then I just stayed. And then this was like years ago, before 9/11. And then I was like, oh, and she's like, yeah, there's lots of summer programs there if you want to go. And I was like, hey, well, I want to go to New York. So I researched every single summer program school in New York.
mm,
And then I also started learning about the group theater, and I started learning about the Meisner technique and Strasberg, and about all these different acting techniques. And I was like, oh, I didn't even know this about acting. Like
yeah.
I didn't really know anything about acting. So I realized that Meisner really clicked with me, and I really like this technique. And so there's two Meisner schools that are quite prominent in New York, and it's the William Esper Studio and the Neighborhood Playhouse. And there's other ones too, but those are just the ones that like popped up to me. And then so fast forward, I ended up going to the William Esper Studio, and I ended up working all year downtown at this office. And then I quit my job, and then I moved to New York for the summer. And then I ended up staying there for 2 years. And then I moved back to uh, Vancouver, and then kind of started the real acting, which is, the grind, auditioning, finding an agent, trying to get casting to know you and meeting other people. And then, so I've been here ever since.
That sounds like a film if you ask me.
Like a film, yeah, I feel like
I love it. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, New York is amazing. And then,
so we can make a trilogy. Hear me out.
Yeah.
So the first one is you go to New York. The second one, the whole transition when you move here, and then when you move to Vancouver, and then when you move to Vancouver, we basically cut the film. We leave like a cliffhanger, and then the third one is yet to be announced. So yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, that's a good point of view. Yeah, it sounds way more exciting than it actually is.
I mean, like the whole thing that you took, like that you took this risk in moving to another country. Even though that basically, like the language is not a problem, but still, being away from like your family, friends, it's tough because you are basically like on your own. So I can imagine how difficult like those first steps while you were in New York could be for you. The fact that you were like basically on your own, right?
Yeah, I was. But I'm kind of used to being on my own because I had, after my first year of university, I had moved to Paris for a summer.
Oh, okay.
And then like after university, I moved to Spain for a summer. So I kind of was used to just traveling and like just doing my own thing. And so then I moved to New York and I was like, but it was, as I get older, I find I miss my family more. When I'm early 20s and like, whatever, like just gonna go have fun. And
I can understand that.
Like I remember my parents, I met up with them in Boston and they left and I just burst into tears. Like I was like, oh my God, I miss my parents. But so
that's true. When I like, there was a moment in which as I was like like telling you that I lived in Germany for like a year and a half, 2 years almost. And at that moment I was like 18, so I didn't quite care, about like calling my parents. I'm gonna have fun.
Exactly.
And like later on, you're like, no, I really missed it. So
exactly. Yeah. Like I feel like if I moved now, I would really miss my family.
Absolutely. So it's so funny that. But hey, as I was saying here, like the whole transition that was pretty cool. And tell me how and also it is pretty curious that everything was starting like to making sense little by little, that everything just started to happen as you were like going along, which I think it also shows that if you're like, whenever you want to do something, eventually things start to come by themselves, of course that you need to be like on the right moment, but you know what I mean, right? That everything just starts to like make sense.
Exactly. It kind of just, it was like, it even happened like I was flying I had a layover in New York.
Okay.
Before I took that workshop, and I was like, oh, I want to live in New York. And then I was sitting beside this woman who lived there, and I was like talking to her, and then I was like, how could I move there? And then I took this workshop and she was like, oh, I live there and like this is what you can do. And then I was like, oh my goodness. And then when I found the school, I was like, this is everything just opened up step by step. Yeah.
There you go. You see, a trilogy. We got it.
Yeah, totally.
I love it. Now, focusing here a little bit on your acting career. Tell me like how you prepare a character. Now I understand, of course, that depends on the role, but like, what is your initial approach to start this journey?
Well, it really depends, like how much time I have before, whether it's an audition or if it's a play or if it's even like a scene study class or something. If it's an audition, I will get the audition from my agent. I'll just read the script right away because I'm just so curious to see what it is. And once I kind of know what it is, how long it is, then I read everything on the email that my agent and that my casting director has sent in the body of the email. And then I will read everything about the other character, everything about my character, like the breakdown. And then I'll read my script. And then if I can, I'll research stuff on the internet. I always print everything out, so it's like in my
Yeah.
hand. I can highlight everything that's important. And then if it's an audition and I know I need to perform pretty quickly, I'll memorize my lines right away. And I just find the faster I memorize my lines, that like anxiety goes away of
Hmm.
knowing my lines. So I'll memorize my lines. So I started actually writing them down, and that makes a really big difference. It makes it so much easier to memorize my lines when I write them down. So
Yeah.
I find one of my acting teachers said, like, write them down, write the script. She says she'll write the script down 3 times and then it's memorized. And I find that
Hmm.
kind of happens to me too. Like, if I write it down, the whole script 3 times in a row, it's kind of like already memorized, quite
Hmm.
maybe not
Okay.
exactly, but like it really helps to just write it down for me. And then so once I have it, then I'll read it out loud, whether it's by myself with an app. I use Line Learner on my phone, or if I can get somebody to read it with, that's always really helpful.
Hmm.
And then I'll do the script analysis part where I have some questions that I answer from an acting class that I find these questions just so helpful. It's about like the regular acting questions like who are you, environment, blah blah blah, and then also like what's the conflict in the scene. And I just find the way that she asks the questions, I find I get a lot out of the script. And then yeah, and then I'll run it as much as I can. I'd like to run the lines so much that I like Meisner would say, know your lines like you know your own name. Because when
Yeah.
you know your lines, you're so much more free. You're not thinking about what's the next line. Like you
Hmm.
can just like, for at least for me, I can just like let go if I know the lines really well. So I usually, it depends what I'm doing that day, but if I can go for a walk and just have the lines on Line Learner on my phone and then like say them out loud while I'm walking. I kind of look like a weirdo, but hopefully it just looks
Okay.
like I'm talking on the phone.
Absolutely.
And then yeah, and then usually everything's self-tape now, so just film it at home
Yeah.
with either a friend or my boyfriend will help me film it, and then just film it until I feel like there's a good enough take.
Mm. And that's it. Okay. I love it. And do you keep your scripts or like after a project, or you just like throw them away, be like, okay, onto the new one, or they don't let you
Yeah,
to keep it at all?
no, I throw them away. I'm just like onto a new one. Yeah.
That's cool.
Because
Okay.
otherwise, yeah, I just have too much paper lying around anyways. Yeah,
Yeah, that's true. And at some point, it would look creepy to kind of go into a room in which full with scripts all over. Yeah, makes sense.
yeah, and like, I mean, I have like I have plays that are books. I can put them on my bookshelf, but yeah, otherwise they're in the recycling bin.
Absolutely, absolutely. And tell me, like, what has been the worst audition you ever had?
Um, I would say the worst audition I've had was I've probably had, I mean, I feel like I've had quite a few bad auditions,
Mm,
but the worst one that comes to mind was this musical theater audition. It was a community musical theater audition outside of Vancouver.
okay.
And I went there, and I love musical theater, but I'm not trained in singing and dancing.
Mm-hmm.
But I had a audition for a commercial, for a singing commercial, and it actually went pretty good. So I was like, okay, well, I'm sure I can pull this off.
Yeah.
And I went to the audition and I was like the worst dancer. I and then I remember it was the singing auditions were next, and I could just hear the other girls in the other room, and I was like, oh, I can't sing like that. And so I went there, and I sang the audition song by La La Land, that in
Yeah.
La La Land that Emma Stone sings. And yeah, it was fine, but I was like, yeah, I this just isn't my thing. Like,
Totally.
musical theater is not my thing. Like, it was more like I got some clarity. I was
Mm,
like, I wasn't I wasn't embarrassed. It was like, that was awful, and now I know that if I ever want to do that again, I'm gonna need some like serious singing and dancing training. And then,
Yeah.
so I think that was the audition that I was just so not prepared for, I guess. Yeah.
No, I mean, that of course that sounds horrible, but that's pretty cool. The fact that you were able to be like, okay, I need to do this to this. I mean, before jumping in and see what happened, you know.
Yeah, I would definitely learn my lesson.
But I love it. But I mean, that's pretty cool. And let's say that one day, Netflix, HBO Max, Disney Plus, you name it, they want to make a career. I mean, they want to make a film. Sorry, in which basically goes that all of the characters you have played at the moment, they will gather to celebrate your birthday. Tell me, what would be the name of that film?
To celebrate my birthday.
Mm-hmm. All of the characters, since you were basically little until the last recent.
Oh my goodness. First thing that comes to mind is Happy Papaya because I had this line in a movie that was my character was supposed to say papaya, but she said papaya instead. And I find most of the characters I play are pretty quirky. So I feel like it'd be something kind of quirky. Yeah.
So we're talking that it would be a comedy.
I think it would be a comedy, yeah. But like the movie, I think the movie would be a comedy, but also a period piece.
Okay. What about describing your whole career on a drink?
I think that would be probably something light, something slow, something career in a drink. Okay. So I would say something hard. So I mean like a hard alcohol, gin. I like gin.
Okay.
What else did I say? Something hard. So gin. Something, what's like a slow, like something kind of, I don't know, maybe just like a gin lavender fizz.
And how would you call it?
I would call it Lucky Lavender.
Okay. Yeah. I like that. It sounds like a name of an interesting drink.
Yeah, I mean, I think that in acting you do need luck. So
Lucky Lavender.
Talent and opportunity is luck equals luck. So lucky, and then lavender. I don't know. I don't know. I'm just thinking what goes in a drink, and I'm thinking lavender is kind of something.
Lucky Lavender, we got it. All right. Now, let's say that you get the chance, I mean, for your birthday, they give you a time machine. But here's the thing. You can only go back in time once to meet the 13-year-old version of yourself. Tell me, what advice would you give to that little you?
I think I would just tell her to have fun and embrace who she is and not take things so seriously, and also just not care what people think about her. Just not worry. I think that's the biggest thing, not to worry about what people think.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, now let's say that one day I call you and I tell you that I want to become an actor. Now I don't have any experience at all, zero. So based on what you know, what advice could you give to me, or even to someone who is at the same level as me, which is zero, but wants to start on this acting journey?
I would say that it's best to take classes. So I would say like I think it's important to do your research of what classes you want to take. So
Absolutely.
I'm in Vancouver, so research all the acting classes in Vancouver
Mm-hmm.
and look at what they offer, what type of classes they offer, who's the teacher, how much do they charge, and just kind of go through all of those questions. And then you'll kind of see like, oh, this is too expensive, or like, this doesn't work for me. And I'm not really drawn to that teacher. I don't really like that style.
Okay.
And then you'll kind of narrow it down to a couple. And then you could audit their classes, or you could just take a class and see if you like it. And then either an audition class or a scene study class. I would just say do both.
Mm-hmm.
And really learn what it's all about. And then also, if you're like, oh, I like this, then I would say get some headshots. You can spend a lot of money on headshots and get really great headshots. You can spend not a lot of money, like a lot of money, but get good headshots. So I think it depends. Like, I've definitely tried to get less expensive headshots, and they're just not as nice as the ones that I've spent a lot of money on. So I almost think it's better to spend all the money on like good, nice headshots.
There you go.
Yeah, and then I would say the best thing to do is start auditioning for student films. Just
okay.
Really, yeah.
If I ever become an actor and I get an Oscar later on, I'll be mentioning you in my thank you speech.
Thank you.
Love it. Now, would you say, I mean, let's say that I don't have that much money in order to get some classes. So would you recommend for me to take a look on YouTube? You know, like check some tutorials here and there about acting. You know, to kind of get my feet wet on it, or to be like, you know what, save up some money instead and then take the classes.
Like, well, YouTube you don't have to pay, right? So just take free classes, like just listen
yeah
to
like basically checking on YouTube some acting tutorials, you know, like some acting lessons here and there to kind of get my feet wet, and then later on take classes, pay them, and you know go to an acting school, you know, like more serious. But I mean, what I'm saying here is that would you recommend that perhaps like at the beginning trying like investigate like a little bit, you know, get your feet wet a bit, and then if it's your thing, then jump in? Because I do think that sometimes people are like a little bit afraid of it, you know, the fact that knowing that they will spend money, you know, on something that perhaps is not their thing. I think that can also be a reason that they might get like feel discouraged, you know, and be like, I don't know, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I would definitely say watch as many YouTube, listen to as many podcasts as you can, but ultimately you're gonna have to really know if you want to do it. You're gonna have to like get, and that's the thing, like with acting, it's like you're gonna have to spend the money. Like I mean, with any career you have to kind of spend money. So it's like, I mean, I've been there, like there's been time, like I've spent so much money on classes and like to get better. And even if you just did like a weekend workshop, you could just spend like a couple $100 over the weekend and do like a Saturday Sunday workshop or something like that. Or I remember when I actually moved, there was even like sometimes it was like a by donation workshop or something. So sometimes something's pop up and you're like, oh, like even like the Groupon thing I did, it was like $50. So sometimes when you're like, oh, I want to do something will pop up that's kind of meant for you.
Absolutely. Yeah, of course. And my last question, like, what motivates you? You know, we all have those days, right, in which we just want to quit. You know, we think that it's been a waste of time, that it's not working. You know, like, I mean, getting inside into this toxic bubble, it's super easy. So my question is, what pushes you away from that so you can continue on this journey that you have created by yourself for so many years now?
Yeah, it's definitely pretty difficult. I would say, like, what motivates me to keep going after, I would say it's kind of just like this feeling inside of me that's like not wanting to give up. It's like this inner, I guess it's passion, or I don't know, it's just this inner feeling like I'm not ready to give up. But sometimes, or like I feel like I have to do it. It's like uncontrollable. Like I just can't stop myself.
Yeah.
But I do think there's some there. I mean, I even had it today earlier. I was like, oh, like, oh my God, this is like just thinking of the future. I was like, what if, like, what if I just am always in the same place? Like, what if I never
Mm.
succeed? Like, like sometimes I definitely have those thoughts. And I sometimes just think like I wouldn't, like in my mind, like acting didn't choose, I didn't choose to act, like it chose me.
Mm. I love it.
Always like, I wouldn't, acting didn't choose me to, if I was going to fail.
Yeah.
Like, it chose me for a reason, and it's not to not succeed or not, enjoy it or not have fun. Like, so, I mean, it's a constant process of just like trying to see things positively. And I feel like
Yeah.
getting into nature, exercising, like um doing things, yeah, like going for a run or going for a walk, getting fresh air, then I feel like that just changing your environment and getting exercise really changes. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or
Yeah.
even talking to somebody, like talking to a friend or something. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I mean, at the end, your whole body is kind of the machine that makes everything possible. So it's understandable for you to kind of take care of it, either with some
Yeah,
exercise or kind of
exactly.
like kind of get away a little bit from it so you can get some ideas back and then come stronger. Because I do think, I mean, and it has happened to me, that if you are steady on something 24/7, no sleep, things like that, there's going to be a point in which your performance is going to be terrible, because you
Yeah.
need, like you need relaxing, you need like some time to kind of disconnect away, like a little bit from everything, kind of get some ideas back and be like, okay, and then
Yeah.
get back to it. Otherwise, I do think that whenever you try like that's, I mean, perhaps for some people work for them, which is fine, but at least to me, I would say take some time off, take like
Yeah.
1 day off, 2 days off, why not go on a holiday for a bit, then come back,
Yeah.
get, things like that. So
Yeah, exactly. I think the first, 5 years or so, I just didn't know. I mean, I just didn't understand like acting or like how it works to really like be an actor. And I think I
yeah.
was just making acting everything and like defined me. And if I got an audition or if I did this or that with acting, it was like it defined who I was. But then I kind of learned like that isn't a way to live. And
Hmm.
when I look back on my life, I don't want to look at my 20s or like 30s and I was only happy if I got an audition or if I got a booking. Like I want to be a whole person.
There you go.
So yeah, I think it's like who do you want to show up as? And like I don't want to show up as somebody who's just so focused with acting that I lose a sense of myself.
Yeah, I mean, but I mean, let's be honest here. I mean, the whole journey that you have been through, as you were mentioning before, that you moved to so many places here and there. I mean, it, and also if you think about it, I mean, like so many times that you can have said, you know what, I'm quitting, I'm gonna find a regular job, stay there, and that's it. But the fact that you are keep moving, the fact that you keep going forward, I mean, that takes a lot of courage. Besides, if besides of being like, I could have go to take something easy, the fact that you're going like the hard way, which is basically creating your own path, and you're having like some results. I mean, like some victories here and there. I mean, that basically shows that everything's possible. But at the same time, like the passion that you have put to it, and I do think that whenever we have like this thought that we want to quit, which I do think it's normal, I do think also that the key here is to kind of look back for a bit and be like, I have been
Yeah.
through so much, I have done so many cool things, I have accomplished. I mean, perhaps for some people might not be the greatest, but at least to me it is, and at the end it's my
Yeah.
life. So so I think when you start like to think that, you get like more stronger to it, to be
Yeah,
like,
totally.
like I want the next thing now and things like that. So
That's so true. Like when I look back to this first summer I was in New York, like I didn't even know how to apply to a student
yeah.
film. So it's like, yeah, sometimes when you think you're like, yeah, okay, like I have made some progress, even though it feels like nothing sometimes.
Yeah, I can understand that, but as I said, I mean, the fact that you have done so many cool things, it is a proof that everything can be possible. But of course,
Yeah,
it needs some work behind it. At the end of the day, it's your craft. It's like your baby, so you need to take care of it. Develop it. Make it better,
yeah,
develop it more. So, and on your story, in this case, that you have traveled to so many places and got like so many experiences. I mean, it also, I do think that eventually everybody's gonna know about what you do. I mean, it's obvious. Let's be honest.
right. Thanks.
Yeah, that's definitely gonna happen because I do think that whenever you're doing something by heart and you're honest with it, good things come by. Like good
Yeah,
things start to come by. Maybe not right now, but I do think that things happen at the right time. That
yeah,
let's say that perhaps you didn't book this role that you thought that you were meant for this role, but later on you ended up discovering that yeah, that wasn't meant for me, and then
exactly.
another
Yeah.
gig come and voila, this is the one, and then that connects one other one and another one and another one. So I think that's pretty, like if you stay like with that mentality, which is difficult, of course, but I do think that if you try to stay like that positive, like things like yeah, like things like that eventually start to come. So
Yeah, totally. Yeah, totally. Yeah.
I love it. And I mean, as I've been saying here throughout this whole episode here, I love your career. I love what you do. It's super amazing. Your whole story here. We should definitely make it into a movie one day. Absolutely. Because as I said here, the fact that you are not also, yeah, bringing us performances, bringing us entertainment, you're also showing us, as I said before, that everything can be possible, and you are like so passionate about it. And I think that if everybody here would stay passionate on something they truly like, I mean, for sure, the world will be definitely a much better and different place. So the fact that some people can rely to you and be like, if she can do it, I can do it too.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
totally.
And yeah, keep doing what you do because I love it. And as I said, I'm super sure that our next conversation is gonna be either where I can put my next award on the wall because it's full now, or even like, hey, check my new action figure, which that would be cool.
Yeah, totally.
I love it. I love it. And I also want to thank those who watched this video. Thank you so much. If you are either listening on Spotify or Apple Podcast, make sure to go follow Yvette right now. I mean, the video is over, so if you want, you can watch another one here, absolutely. Or before doing that, go follow her. I mean, go follow Yvette right now. The link would be in the description, so go follow her. Let's make her viral. Hashtag Team Yvette because she's awesome. She's amazing. And again, Yvette, thank you so much for making this happen. Have an
Thank you.
incredible weekend and keep inspiring.
Thank you. You too. Thank you so much.
All right.